Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 16th of July. So starting off then, let's have a look at the news events coming out today, which could create some volatility in the market. So we've already had Bank of Japan outlook monetary statement, press conferences happened. Aside of that, then we have coming out core retail sales in the US. Again, these sort of numbers are creating a bit more volatility than they once did, but not massive movers for sure. But in a quiet market, a bit of volatility can be quite nice, or of course it can create quite a problem. Anyway, let's see what's going. Let's have a look at the markets. Starting off with the Forex markets today, then, as I'm already ready with this, and looking at the euro dollar first. So it's still in its downward direction. Effectively, it's not done anything here on the shorter time frames to convince me otherwise. In real terms, it's not to say I won't occasionally get the odd long position against these moves, and I'm looking here, there's a daily pivot untouched above, but it's gone very slow here. Yesterday it was slow for a long time. We saw some sort of action coming in sort of mid-morning, late morning there, and then it just went back to sleep. And sort of story of these markets can be during the summer, and we're not into real summer, although a lot of the private schools are now broken up, and we're sort of seeing a dip. Anyway, so consolidation, as I'm looking at this, the almost obvious thing here in a downward trending market, sorry, it's a badly drawn trend line here, is to look at the downside across the lows here. In fact, I should put it across there, which it's pitching around at the moment. However, I will be patient and wait and see what happens on this morning. It does look soft. I'll give it a bit of time, but that's what looks on the cards. Preferences to the downside. The pound, well, again, it's another market. It's in a right old mess. You've got these side-by-side bars. They're very difficult. A green, a red, a green, a red. Difficult to work out, and not always in a sort of a nice, clean intraday sort of ranging sort of move. They're sort of almost side by side at times. You're getting a bit of some comments coming out, and it's firing up, and then then it's selling off quite quickly, stalling, etc. Again, just looking at the technicals here. In fact, if I just come out one, and you just see these lows that are sitting around about 38.03, maybe, and you've got to be a bit careful. This could just chip lower this morning and then come back into range, but maybe that sort of bottom there could see a break. It's not at the absolute bottom. If it is an absolute bottom of the move, I'd have felt a bit more comfortable with it, just saying, right, okay, this is a continuation. However, we have got these other lows now. These other lows may give us targets, but at the same time, we've seen the support this sort of level has. It could be just a bit of a soft one, that the price just comes out, as I say, triggers a lot of traders into shorts, and then the market turns. So watch out for that sort of false movement. Dollar yen, another exhale of air. It's been swinging on the shorter side into yesterday. In fact, it's possibly one of the cleaner looking markets on some of the time frames, but it's got this sort of bullish engulfing bar that we've seen at midnight there. We just actually, is that true? I've got some data. Oh, it's 4 o'clock. Yeah, okay, that's right. It's still a 4 o'clock bar. That's fine. But we got this outside bar. Maybe a break to the upside here. We've got the prior highs. Could see a bit more continuation to that move. It's sort of bullish engulfing. It's suggesting a bit of a swing round maybe. But again, quietish markets could just get up to 110 area, may just pitch through and roll and pop back again. It's not in a sort of a key area. If this was up here, with prior highs, etc., I'd be a bit more convinced. But of course, at some stage it could break out, but not in the best of places on the chart. Aussie dollar, another one selling off there. Solid day yesterday. Actually, it's a bearish golfing bar effectively that came through on yesterday's market. Solid sell-off days, had a bit of a bounce through the Asian session into its daily pivot. Again, here I'm just sort of looking, well, I say again on this one, it's a little bit different. On this one, I'm sort of looking here and thinking, well, maybe if it continues on this sell-off, I might join in. It hasn't got a nice straightforward trend line or anything sitting across there, but anyway, we'll see. I'm sort of, it's got some potential, but it can be quite slow. We're talking of slow. Canadian dollar can often also follow through on that slow move. It's doing this sort of little swing movement upwards here. It's broken its prior high there, so it's probably got some divergence. Not really there, maybe on the MACD. No divergence at all. Okay, so the move's there. It's not really a divergence. I'd have thought with this pullback here would have seen as something. Well, you can see a divergence between these two highs on the 4-hourly, but not on the bigger time frames there. We could be in for more upside on this. And again, we've got a trend line sitting across here, so it's a bit euro-ish in terms of the potential for a bit of a continuation there. Maybe a break of that trend line there could get us going. Again, just be a bit wary, but it is at the top of a move. It is a nice flag pattern in a decent move. It's probably one of the cleaner ones there. Okay, cross pairs, let's have a quick look. Euro yen. Seen a bit more action in some of these. Bearish engulfing there, running through a couple of days ago. We're just sort of seeing a bit of a continuation through that bar. Bouncing into its weekly S1 prior lows here, seeing a bit of a bounce off that area. Looks quite flat when you look at it through here. Lots of periods of consolidation, and it may be again trend lines across the lows here. If it does start selling off, might have an opportunity to continue. It's in the right sort of place in the pattern here. If it sells to the downside, there we are. Maybe restricted in the potential upside with these sort of key moving average 50 MA not that far away, so in the R1 along with some prior highs there somewhere in that region, so maybe a bit restricted. So for me it's favoured if it sets up on the sell side. I'm not so interested on the long side, particularly with the big trend it's here. So if it picks up on the long side, I'll just stand aside of that one. Okay, that's pretty much it with it in majors there. Nothing else, no requests there, that's fine. Just trying to look at anything else. Right, let's get on and look at commodities. So gold slowing up a little bit yesterday after its previous day of decent move, and it's almost given back all of yesterday's gains in before we got going properly here. Now a break of that 1820 area would give us a lower high. Trend though is to the upside, and if you were looking for this, you'd need to be looking for some sort of, I don't know, maybe a bit more of a retrace and then a reversal to play the trend. Now we've had the 50 MA tested a couple of times, maybe just a bit soft in what we're seeing up here. Well, if I put the RSI in there will be divergence at the top there. Well, he says no, there's not. There's no divergence over that high there. I thought there might have been with the retracement in the movement there, but not. Of course, this lower high on the RSI, that's to be expected, lower high in price. But it just looks a bit soft at the moment. But I think in this trend that's there, it's probably worth waiting for the retracement and seeing if it can catch a bit of a bounce somewhere. If it starts bouncing, then playing it in the direction would still be the safer move on that. Alright, so let's have a look at, he says, let's have a look at oil, if I can, be good. I'm looking at a weekly, I don't really want to look at a weekly. So oil continued its run down yesterday, and it's just softening a little bit, but at the same time consolidating. Now, consolidating near as it on its way down just suggests further downside. So just watch out for this. There is some soft divergence where it is at the moment. Bigger picture still has that sort of upward trend, but as we're coming down the time frames, there's sort of less certainty. The only thing is we are into a point of previous lows here, and it could just find a bit of support. But I do wonder if the markets are caught on here. As I said a couple of days ago, if it breaks this low of 70.83, it does really become a bit more bearish, but it's slow in doing so. Okay, commodities done. Let's tick the other boxes. Let's have a look. Sorry for those that really hang in there waiting for the indices, because that's their bread and butter. Let's just find the indices. Let's find a different chart here. Bring this into play. Oh, crypto. No, I can't do crypto first. I just promised you the indices. So let's get on and do the indices. Let's have a look what happened then. Effectively, the Shanghai market traded in Hong Kong. Sell-off day yesterday. Are we seeing any real correlation to what happens in this market running through into the London markets? Well, at that big bullish day yesterday, it was selling when we looked in the morning, and it carried on selling. So no is the answer. It sold last night on the Shanghai there, and we've seen a bounce this morning. So on the FTSE, maybe look at doing something different. But the FTSE, I'm looking at this on a daily time frame, and it's sort of struggling. It's again, well, we've got all these tails coming through here. It's struggling at these lows here at around about 7,000. 7,000 used to be quite a key number there. And if just leaving my the cursor here and just look on 7,000, how many times you go back right over here, and that's how key it is to this market, and it's around that 7,000 mark is pretty key, just over. But just maybe it got a bit more bounce in the DAX this morning, also getting just a little bit of a bounce as I'm looking at this at the moment. So a couple of bounces there, but these markets look a little bit tired. S&Ps yesterday sold off there in the end. Maybe opportunities, in fact, with the S&Ps. I'm just going to come to my own chart here and look at it on the futures and look at a little bit more detail. So S&Ps just drilling down a little bit here, and look at what's happening. Lower highs coming through on the 4 hourlies. It does look a bit soft actually, but then we've got this higher low just trying to appear where it's appeared. It's taken out that prior high there, so there is a higher low there. On the bigger scale of things, the S&Ps have largely been in an uptrend, and I'm just, oh, there you go, look at that, perfectly drawn, and maybe a break back above that sort of key moving average 450, anything back above 43.60 on the main market, the real market, as opposed to what you may see on your broker. You could be 46.50 or 43.50 or 43.70. You'll see that a lot of brokers have different prices. They don't call it the S&P 500 E-minis, they call it something else. But just look at your charts there and be aware of the sort of level. Is for me, it's 43.60 on the real market, on the futures market there. Okay, that's that. Okay, I'll finish off then on the looking at crypto for the and again, these really generally bigger picture views, because they're generally bigger picture trades for a lot of people. But I was talking yesterday about the Bitcoin on its way south, and we're sort of at that, if you put the cursor on the lows of the previous bodies, and we're sort of sitting there. It's sitting on the edge, and it looks at some point. The more it sort of sits like this, the more I think, well, it's going to go at some stage. Someone's going to push it and sell it, and it'll come off there. We're seeing this sort of dollar strength. Well, these are looking versus the dollar, and even my favoured Ethereum. You can't deny that this is heading south at the moment. Not quite a bearish engulfing yesterday, but everything looks a little bit tired at this stage. If you're looking to buy any of these, I would sit there patiently, keep the money in the bank. it's a good position sometimes this to be there in cash. Okay, the Ripple all following suit here. No real significant difference between any of these markets. So that's it for me for the day. I'm going to wish you a great day trading, and I'll catch you on Monday. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye for now. There you go.